Hi, I'm Wanda with Jimmy Branch Homestead, and today I thought I would kind of go over 2024, what we did as a homestead, some of our successes, some of our failures, lessons learned, those kind of things. And I wanted to start off by talking for just a moment about our YouTube channel. So we started our YouTube channel January 12th of 24 was our first video posted. So we just are celebrating our 1 year anniversary. So thank you so much to all the subscribers and viewers out there who has helped us to get this far. I wanted to kind of give you an update on where we are as far as our YouTube channel and our analytics. So one of the things that, there's a couple things that are required for a channel to get monetized. And so YouTubers get paid through YouTube, no charge to you, once they reach certain milestones. And the big milestone is 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in 365 days. So it's a moving calendar that moves each day. Our current is we are at 963 subscribers. So we are very close, very excited about that. And 3,589 watch hours. So once we get monetized, to keep being monetized, we need to maintain the number of subscribers and watch hours. And as I mentioned, we are getting very, very close, so that's very exciting. And so I'm reaching out to you, our viewers and friends and family, to help us get there. And so the way you can help is to share our videos on your social media, but also talk to your friends and family, different people that you know that watch YouTube, and ask them to reach out and help us. I'd really like to not only get to the 1,000 subscribers, we're only 37 subscribers away from the 1,000 mark. But I'd like to get to 1,100 just to give us that cushion to make sure that we can help maintain that 1,000 subscribers. Secondly, I'd like to get our watch hours to meet the 4,000 watch hours, but again, exceeding that and going forward to help us have that cushion to be able to maintain that. And one of the ways, if you are a fairly new subscriber and haven't been with us all along watching our videos, or even if you're a long-term subscriber of ours but haven't watched all our videos, is kind of go back on our playlists or our channel and just kind of view all of the videos that you have missed. That would greatly help us to get our watch hours up and hopefully meet that goal very soon. So if you watched our very first video, our intro video, I think it was our second video actually, you would know that my husband and I both came from corporate America, where he was a director of maintenance and I was a human resources manager for over 35 years. So did that long time. Feels really good to be out of the rat race. And so our new goals is running our farm here. Obviously, we're not young chickadees, we're getting older, so we have to kind of do a little bit at a time. And the unfortunate part of where we purchased this actually was my husband's great-grandparents' home. And so it stayed in the family over the years, and we were able to purchase it from a family member before she passed, and then she just stayed and lived in the home until she did pass. So we purchased it several years before she died, and we've put a lot of money into it. A lot of it we saved, and we was able to make purchases ahead of time when we were working in St. Louis. And so we were able to put a lot of the things, purchase them and put them aside to use when we got here. So we had a lot of dehydrators. I had a lot of jars, not nearly enough. I had my pressure canner. My husband got me another very nice one last year for my birthday because I am doing so much canning. I do can year round. So if you've been watching my canning videos, you kind of got that. I'm getting ready to do another big round of soups. A lot of them are repeat soups. Let me know if that's something you would like to see again or in different ways. Or if there's something that you haven't seen that you would like to see, please leave that in comments below too. Okay, so let's continue on our review at 24. So back in February, January and February and March, I was doing a lot of canning. I did do a view of our pantry. It is even fuller now, and honestly, I have several cases sitting in stacks throughout the house. So I really need to get to that project, but it's just spend time and money. It's an ideal winter project. I need to rebuild my pantry shelves and take those purchased ones out and reutilize them in the garage. But I have a lot of wasted space in between my shelves. And so I really need to redo that to where I have shelves that are sized just right for pints, you know, just enough room a little bit above them for air circulation or for me to be able to grab them out. And also for quarts, and then underneath for my buckets and such, which I currently have in one section. I still haven't decided when I rebuild if I'm going to put it in both sections. I'm kind of thinking so because I keep expanding that stuff. But we'll see. And on a different video later, I'll give you a pantry update. Okay, so also in February, which there's a lot of winter projects. If you don't have a homestead, you may not realize that, but there's a lot of things that we can work on in the winter in preparation for the spring and summer and fall production type projects that we have here on the homestead. And one of them that I did was we put in a fence the year before, but I did not rabbit proof it, and I planted my green beans 3 times and the rabbits ate them all. So I did spend a few days, I think 3, maybe 4, because we have a pretty big garden. Wrap fence and then down. If that's something that you might need to do or might be interested in, again, go back to our earlier videos and you'll be able to find that. So that finally got done, and it did make a big difference, and I planted peas and green beans and had a great crop. So that was very beneficial. Also last January, I did start a lot of seeds indoors, which I'm getting ready to do again. But I decided that I didn't want to start them quite as early as I did last year because my tomatoes were getting so big, and I start my seeds in my house, in my spare bedroom. So I ended up putting them in gallon buckets. I had to put them outside. Then we had some hard freezes still. I had plastic over them and all that kind of, it was a mess. It was a lot of extra and needed work. One of the things we are hoping is to get our greenhouse done. So we did start a greenhouse last year. Unfortunately, it got put on the back burner as different things came up, and it only got half done. So that is something that is a fairly high priority this winter, spring, because I would like to start a spring garden early inside there. So watch for those videos. And if you'd like to see where we started the greenhouse, go back to our build playlist and you'll be able to see those videos. Let's see. Also, last winter, very early spring, we went looking for mineral tubs. And those are big tubs that the cattle farmers use to supplement the cattle for their minerals mainly during the winter months when they don't get it out of the grass and such. And you can find those anywhere from $5 per big bucket to $10 per bucket. And we found that if you found them in the winter listed on Marketplace or Craigslist or some of those kind of things, they were much cheaper than if you waited till March, April when everybody was thinking about it and looking for those. So if you've been, like I said, with our channel, you probably saw all the buckets that I had out in the garden. We got 20 buckets. I think the first time that we purchased them, and we found 35 buckets the second time we purchased them. So we had some other means of a little bit of income coming in still last year. So we were able to get those even though we're on such a limited income. But we also used our 401k withdrawals for a lot of different structures to get started and those kind of things. Because when you're on Social Security, you have a pretty limited income. Another thing that was a big project that I did, well, it didn't take long, but it was something very exciting for us, is we never had blueberries before, so I planted blueberries. I planted some in raised beds that I already had that were 2 foot wide by 8 foot long. And then I can't remember how many tubs. I think 8, maybe more, of those big mineral tubs that I used for planting the rest of the blueberries. And some of them are looking kind of peaked. Not sure if they'll make it, but others were looking really, really good in the fall. So hopefully those all make it through the winter time. Also, one of our big projects, especially for my poor husband who had to hand dig all the holes, we planted an orchard. So in the fruit orchard, we have 3 different kinds of apples. We had a couple cherries, one died, so I'm going to have to replace some of those. We have a few, 2 or 3 different kinds of pears, and 2 kinds, I think, of peaches. We bought 2 persimmons trees, but one died. So one still looked really good in the fall, so hopefully it pulls through. And you know, it gets extremely hot here, so we had to keep them watered and fed, and I'm getting ready to do some pruning for the winter. That'll be another video coming up soon. But very excited to get that orchard in. I'm hoping that we can start getting at least a few pieces of fruit here and there over the next couple of years. And then hopefully those will start really bearing. We did try to buy 6 to 8 feet tall trees so that hopefully they will start bearing soon, because again, with our age, we don't want to wait 20 years. And part of the hopes of that is we don't need that much fruit for ourselves, but our hope is as they start producing well, that we will be able to supplement our income with fruit from the orchard. So sell it at the farmer's market or direct off the homestead here. Something else that I did new this year was I planted a small tea garden. And if you've been watching my videos all along, you will remember seeing those in the greenhouse. And I had chamomile, peppermint, and something else I can't remember. I'll have to go out and look. So hope to continue adding to that garden as well. Our big in-ground garden, most of it went gangbusters. We did really well. The okra, I've never seen it grown that way before. I mean, it was 8 feet tall and still producing. I had 1 row of it, and I had to give tons away because I froze it. I canned okra pickles. I did different things in stir fries and a lot of fresh eating, and we still just had so much okra. So if I plant okra at all this year, it will probably only be maybe 4 plants. But I'm not sure if I'm going to even plant that yet. This is January, so we're going through our planning to determine what all we do need to plant. And one of the ways that I do that is I check my pantry shelves and my freezers to see what do I have a lot left of, what do I have nothing left of or running low on. And that helps me to decide what to plant and how much to plant. Let's see. Oh, another big project that we did for the first time last year is we built a pig shelter and a pig pen, and we raised and processed 2 pigs. So that was real exciting to be able to put those in our freezer. We did take them to a professional processor as we aren't really set up to be able to process animals of that large. So, and honestly, I don't know how to do it. It's one thing doing a deer, but it's something different doing a whole hog. Plus, we like to have our hams cured and our bacons. So, looking and purchasing the big mineral tubs early spring or into winter. We came across one of the sellers that had a bunch of rabbit cages, and he gave us a super good deal. We paid $100 for, I don't remember how many cages, all his waterers, all his feeders that were in those cages. So we went ahead and did it, even though we weren't ready to put those on the homestead. The other thing is I really focused on increasing my Easter egger flock. I had 3 hens and a rooster to start with, and the rooster kept my poor hens naked on the back. And I just hate that in the winter and when it's cold and everything, and then they don't have feathers, you know, to help keep them warm. And I worry about frostbite and that kind of thing. So I want to really increase the number of hens that I have in that coop. And to do that, I do have an incubator. So I incubated 2 different sets of chicks last year. The first check was, I had 15 successful hatch out of 22. And those were all Easter egger eggs. They were doing great. We had them in the brooder outside. We got some very hot and humid weather, and they were getting really too big to be in the brooder. They were right at a month old, so they should have come out of there. Unfortunately, I learned a horrible lesson because they got coccidiosis. Now, once I realized what it was, I did get treatment for them. Unfortunately, it was too late, and we lost 10 of the 15. So that was so sad. Of the remaining 5, I have 3 hens and 2 roosters. So those are currently in my flock. Again, they're starting to breed. I took the older rooster out, which he's going to freezer camp before long. And I've decided I'm probably going to take the 2 new ones that I have in there right now, at least one of them, and it's going to freezer camp also. Because they're older now, rather than just, 3-4 months old, I will be marking those as stew chickens. And they'll be great for chicken and dumplings. So the last batch that I hatched in early November had 16 chicks in it. And of those, I was trying to hatch a dozen of the American breast chickens and 10 of the Easter eggers. Well, I successfully hatched 8 American breasts and 8 Easter egger chicks. And so I'm starting a new flock of American breasts. Well, 7 of those American breasts ended up being roosters. So we will raise them to 4 months of age and butcher 7 of them. I want to keep 1 of them and the 1 hen, and that will be the start of my new flock. But I will need to purchase more eggs to incubate to try and grow that flock. And I have to figure out where to put all of these chickens, because you cannot mix ages of chickens, like chicks in with full-grown chickens, or, you know, they'll kill them. So been doing a little bit of thinking about how I'm going to do that. And then for 2025, I want to focus on growing my Plymouth Barred Rock flock and my American breast flocks. So that will be, and I don't have a rooster for the Plymouth Barred Rock, so I'm going to have to either order them or find them from somewhere else. So it's going to be tricky trying to, I have 3 coops. I want to keep them true to what they are. So the Easter eggers have the next to the biggest coop. They have an 8-foot coop. And there's currently 8 chickens in there, counting the 2 roosters. One of the things that I want to look at doing for 2025 is to have a small coop that I can take the roosters out of the hens and give the hens a rest, so that the roosters will have a safe, secure place to go when I want to do that. The second thing I need to think about is, how am I going to grow out chicks? Because if I'm going to have all these different coops for these chickens, I'm not going to be able to mix them with chicks. So one of the things that I'm considering is, in the meantime, once I split up all the ones that are in my coop 3, is putting the Easter eggers in with the Easter eggers. Obviously, I have several roosters to butcher here in the next few weeks, about, let's see, probably another month or so at this point. And then I was thinking about taking the 1 American breast hen and rooster that I have and putting them in with the Plymouth Barred Rocks, because right now I only have 4, and they actually have the biggest coop. So their coop is 8 by 12 and the run is 8 by 17. So they also have the biggest run. At some point I will need to decide, am I going to have that coop as a main coop for a lot of chickens, or do I need to move maybe the American breast into that one and move the Barred Rocks into coop 3, the smallest one? I don't know. Lots to think about. Lots to decide for my planning. Okay, we built coop 1 and coop 2, the big hoop coop and the wooden coop. This year I built coop 3, which was recently just finished, like in November. While my chicks were in the house, I finished it. So that was very good, exciting to get done. I need to figure out, like I said, some smaller coops. There were some grow out methods, more tractors. We only have 1 chicken tractor, but I hate putting chicks in that in the winter time to grow them out. Just because it does get kind of cold. What I did for the rooster that's currently in there, I basically put a tarp around it to block a lot of the wind. And on one half of the top is covered with a roof, and the other half is 2 doors with hardware cloth. So we were getting a lot of snow and ice here over the past few days. And what I did was I put a piece of plywood over one side of the open portion. So if I harvest those roosters, I'll be able to put the remaining roosters in there, or I can finish growing them out in coop 3 where they are now. Again, lots to think about. So I need to come up with some grow out plans, I think is really the issue here. Okay, so lots covered in 2024. So I kind of shared already with you some of my 2025 plans. I want to increase the American breast and the Plymouth barred rocks. One of the things I didn't tell you about yet is we want to put underground water and electric to the garden and the coops. That would be fabulous. I already have the electrical wire. We purchased it last summer. We just need to come up with money to dig the ditch for the water and the electric. So we'll have to rent equipment to do that. And I already bought the water. I'm getting the antifreeze siphon pumps. I bought 2 because I want one basically at each end of the garden, and the one at the end of the garden closest to the coops I'll be able to use for washing and watering the chickens. I mean, currently I usually use just the garden hose out in the middle, but I'm carrying it quite a ways to different areas. So that is a hopeful goal for 2025. The other thing that I want to do, and actually I'm hoping to get started on it pretty soon, is to build the structure and set up the pens for rabbits. So we are hoping to raise rabbits this year, both for ourselves, and if we can get set up enough, also to sell. So we already have the cages. I have my ideas on how I'm going to do some structures, hopefully economically with mostly what we have. I'm hoping not to have to buy for that structure. And so we're looking to get breeding stock of 3 does and 2 bucks. And of those, I'm hoping, I forgot the breeds. Well, I'll do that in another video. We are not going to raise pigs in 2025. We decided to keep both of the pigs that we raised last year rather than selling one to cover the feed. I just kind of decided, well, if we raise and keep both of them, hopefully we won't have to raise any this year, and we can focus more on growing the other things, like growing the flocks and starting on growing the rabbits. So the one thing that I will probably have to scrounge or buy, I don't know if I have enough of it laying around, is for rabbit tractors. And rabbit tractors are very similar to chicken tractors, but they have to have a hardware cloth bottom, because without that, the rabbits just dig their way out. So I will need to get at least 1 tractor, hopefully 2, for grow outs. Especially if we're going to sell rabbits. Of course, I want to stock our freezer first. And I think I might have mentioned in another video that our dog is having a lot of issues. So I'm looking at making his own dog food. And because of that, that means we're going to have to raise a lot of extra meat. Extra chickens, extra rabbits. He gets vet. Okay, so that is most of the plans that we have right now. One of the other animals that we would like to get on the homestead, but I don't know if we'll be able to get set up for it this year, is ducks. My husband decided he'd like to get a pair of ducks. So we need to learn a lot more about them. I've never Well, we raised ducks when I was a very young child, but I didn't really do anything other than feed them. So I need to learn more about that, or we do. And of course, that'll be more fences and more structure. I was thinking we could reuse the pig structure since we're not raising pigs this year for them. So we actually technically then could reuse the fence, but that area is all tore up right now. So I don't know if we'll want to put them in that same area, which would be handy for feeding. Again, some more things we gotta figure out. So if you have any ideas that you would like to see us do on the homestead that I haven't already mentioned, put it in the comments below. We'll have to see if we can financially or feasibly do them. But certainly, you know, give us some ideas of what you would like to see. So I know I kind of covered a lot of information in a short amount of time. Hopefully I'll figure out a way to throw some of the short clips in there of some of the things that we did in 2024 on with our YouTube. I really just like to film and kind of share what's going on without being repeating too much for the YouTube channel. So one of the biggest challenges or mistakes that we made during 2024 was not proper planning when we're bringing in new animals onto the homestead. So had a bad habit, especially me, of ordering animals for the homestead and then rushing around to try and get their homes built for them to really house them. So we're really trying in 2025 to focus on getting the structures in place before we order or look for the animals. So hopefully soon I'll be able to get that rabbit structure up and running, and then we could go look for the animals. I have a couple places in mind for rabbitries, or places that we could get the animals that we want. So same thing with the chicken coops. I'll need to figure out and plan before I get any more chickens so that I can properly plan on how I'm going to utilize the coops that I have with minimal needing new structures. So one of the things I'm going to do for that is keep an eye out on Marketplace. I have a friend and neighbor who has found some great chicken coop areas that she found on Marketplace and was able to really extend her flock. I think she started off with just a handful, half a dozen or so chickens, and she's probably up to about 100 now. So one of the ways that we want to generate income for the homestead is by selling eggs. Now that won't really make us rich or make us a lot of money, but we're hoping that we can get everything we need for both ourselves and our animals, and have an abundance to be able to share with friends and neighbors. But we'll have to have them share in the cost because, you know, feed continues to rise, the costs. So that's one of the ways that we'll be able to offset the feed a little bit, really is what we're looking for. So if you're enjoying this type of video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share our videos on your social media. Again, if you're a current subscriber or new to the channel, if you could go back and watch those other videos, it would really help us with the algorithms and to be able to get to our monetization. Thank you so much for watching Jimmy Branch Homestead.